On this short film, we made a decision on day one that shaped entirely how the story would be experienced. And it wasn't about gear, it wasn't about coverage, but it was one simple rule. The story was a coming-of-age film centered on young actors discovering the inner animal in all of us. And early on, the director and I realized that we wanted to keep the audience's attention at one perspective, which meant that we needed to keep with one thing. First, coffee. Casey Local Blend. We decided that we wouldn't reveal any of the adult faces in the film, keeping this truly a kid's perspective of a film. The adults were there, we just did not get coverage of their faces. That was until a jump scare at the end. And that decision changed everything. That changed how we framed, that changed our props, our hair and makeup, our wardrobe. It gave a sense of structure to the film that we did not break. And it was a decision that we made on the day, just inspired by putting ourselves in some boundaries to keep to. Every scene with adults was designed to avoid facial reveals. And sometimes that meant blocking, sometimes that meant props, and sometimes that meant just framing in a way that the younger talent would obscure the adult. There was multiple scenes where the mother would visit the child in a room, and then we would walk with her into the kitchen. And one of the tricks was to keep the camera lower at a kid's POV, allow the mother to walk into frame, go to the kitchen sink or the fridge or to the stove, and not be at her eye level, but be lower. And there were scenes when we had the younger child interact with the mother, and in a way where we had them embrace each other and pivot, another blocking move to continue to hide the face. This decision was a collaboration between the director and I. And this film itself was a project that was brought to me 1 week before we were shooting. This is one of the things I think is important for young cinematographers out there, is to have a mentor. And my mentor, shout out Gabe Mahan, who is a very talented cinematographer based down in the Northwest Arkansas region. He was the very first cinematographer I ever worked for as a camera assistant, an unpaid PA. But at the time, you can check out that movie. It was on Netflix, called Greater. And I would often call him, for advice and support, and still touch base with him today. But it's those mentorships that help shape careers and sometimes often can find you work. Apparently Gabe was double booked, and he gave me a call and says, "Hey, I'm double booked. I know you want to be doing more narrative projects. I have this project can't do. Would you like to take a look at it?" And I was like, heck yes. If you're about to shoot something, I know it's going to be cool. So I immediately got my first AC, got on the phone with the director and said, "Hey, we'll be there." And we took a quick drive down to Northwest Arkansas and did this film over a few days. It was down there during our rushed scout and quickly trying to find the vibe between both of us that we decided, let's not show their faces. Now, does that kind of screw over the adults? Yes and no. We approached them and told them, hey, we were trying to keep this at a kid's POV, and we'll have a reveal of the monster towards the end. But they were on board, surprisingly, which is great. These actors trying to get roles and we don't show their faces, that feels like, oh no. But they did a great job, and their performances were still valid, from what they're saying on frame, even though you don't see their face, to just the overall actions they're doing in frame. This is still very powerful and an idea that we came up on set. And sometimes it's good to keep boundaries. Even as simple as, here's a pro tip. On this project, we decided to lock our color temperature. They believe we locked it about 4,400 degrees Kelvin, which kept the things inside the home, these tungsten lamps, even more warm and inviting, and exteriors even cool and more unsettling. This is another way to make the audience feel like the talent is safe inside and unsafe outside, which narratively made sense for the script. Now, did I recently get this idea from checking out the show The Ozarks? At the time, this was a popular show, and yeah, I know they kept to one color temperature, and that was something I wanted to try, and I felt like it narratively made sense for this project, so I applied that. That doesn't work for every project. It doesn't work for your high bright, commercial or whatever, but it is something that you can try, and it's okay. And a pro tip, give yourself some boundaries to work within. You don't need every lens, every frame style, every camera movement in the books to make a project happen. Sometimes it's good to work within hey, we're gonna shoot this project on these 3 lenses, and how can we make the audience feel different by utilizing these 3 lenses? Now, the lens concept wasn't for this project, but in general, give yourself some boundaries and enjoy the results. And overall, that one decision to not reveal the adult faces did more than just solve a visual problem. It unified the project and gave it a visual tone. It also kept the viewers in a child's perspective, and it made that final reveal of the adult's face even that much more of a punch. And if you want to see more projects like this, you can check out my website, stevenscgreathouse.com. All right, thanks. Peace.